Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building with us this morning.
That's right, record industry legend, Steve Rifkind.
Absolutely. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How's everything?
Everything is great.
Now, what's up? I thought you left the music industry, man.
I thought I did too. I thought I did too. Around a year ago, Russell Simmons and Brian Robbins started a company called All Def Digital, and I was managing Spoken Reasons. And then, you know, they said we had this YouTube channel, and I said, you know, you guys should really start a music side of it.
Okay.
And they said, well, who will run it? And I said, I don't know, because I really thought I was out. I thought I was just, you know, going to manage Spoken Reasons and just go on.
That was a rhetorical question, by the way. Who's going to run it? Steve, you're the music guy.
So, and you know, Brian, I've known Russell since I'm 16, and Brian's been my best friend for 30 years. And over the weekend, you know, they called. He says, "Why don't you come back in?" And I was like, you know, the music business, you know, I don't know. So that night, the night before, I had a conversation with somebody at Universal, and they said, you know what, the music business is turning around with all the streaming, you know, and everything, and you know, we're proud to be back in the music business. So I called him up. I said, let's do this, and that's how I got back in.
Well, let's talk about some Steve Rifkind history, though.
Yeah, tell them who Steve Rifkind is for somebody who doesn't know.
Responsible for a lot of careers. Wu-Tang, Mobb Deep, Big Pun, Exhibit. Who else was on Loud back then?
3-6
Mafia.
3-6 Mafia.
Akon. Well, no, that was SRC.
Akon was SRC.
SRC. Banner.
David Banner,
of course.
Dasha Roth, Melanie Fiona.
Well, Steve Rifkind had a little label called Loud Records.
There wasn't a little label.
I know. But he started off with Loud Records. That was your first label, right?
Yes.
And you were the one that actually gave a lot of these groups a shot. Mobb Deep still speaks very highly of you. Obviously, Wu-Tang Clan. You were giving out pretty nice budgets back then. That's what everybody says.
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
Nice
you know
budget.
what? You know, with Wu-Tang Mob, even Exhibit, Pun, you know, we were a joint venture, so we were never really the parent company. So our budgets were always half of what the parent company had. And I said, this is, you know, and I was just straight, you know, this is what I have. Let's rock, and if you have success, I promise you we'll go in and renegotiate.
Right.
So the first album, everybody rolled up their sleeves. Then on the second album, you know, we would go in together. You know, if it was BMG or Sony, and say, you know, it's time for them to get paid.
Who was the first person you signed?
Twista.
Wow.
Who was bringing all this talent to you? Were you actually scouring the country, finding these guys, or did you have A&Rs? Because you had a great roster, like some hip-hop legends on your roster.
You know, I started when I was 18, and I didn't go to college. So my family was in the music business. They had a small label called Spring Records, and it had Millie Jackson, Fatback Band, and Joe Simon. And that's how I met Russell. Russell had an artist by the name of Jimmy Spicer, Dollar Bill Y'all. So I just went on the road. At 18, I zigzagged across the country for 4 years, and that's how I put the whole street team together. And then when I was in Chicago, you know, a DJ by the name of Eric DeWiz had this artist, and it was Twista. And people were saying, you should have a label, you should have a label. And I was like, nah, I was cool. I was traveling the country, talking music, talking sports, you know, and not a worry in the world, you know. And then I came back to New York for a wedding, you know, and BMG offered me a label. So I was like, you know, it's hard to really refuse. So then I was like, you know what, I got to be a grown-up now and get to work. So that's how Loud started, was really through my street team.
You had a different kind of ear, though, because you didn't just sign New York artists. Like I said, you signed somebody like Twista, you signed 3-6 Mafia. Like, what made you so open to other sounds from other regions?
With 3-6 Mafia, when Master P was really exploding, I just got on a bus, and I wanted to know what, you know, I mean, this guy was selling records. I'd never seen anybody sell records that fast, that quick, even though he laid down the groundwork. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to hit the South. And I went on the road for 2 months, and I was on a bus, and down in Memphis, and everybody said, you got to, you know, check out this group, 3-6 Mafia. They were selling records independently, you know, and they would, so it was a great deal that we worked with them. It was, they would come with their own mixtape, and they would call it 666 Mafia, you know, and it would lay down the groundwork and the street for them. I said, you guys keep that, sell as many records as you possibly can. Just give me the 3-6 Mafia records. And that's what we did. So every time they came with a mixtape, we would come with an album 6 months later, and they would lay all the groundwork, and it put real money in their pocket. And we got lucky.
You seem like you were a nice executive. We hear all types of horror stories about executives. I'm not going to say any names, but everybody.
Nobody's ever said Steve Rifkin's raped them.
Nobody ever said that. You know,
well, I remember when Havoc and Prodigy were up here, they were saying that it was actually you who told them to go ahead and do the movie and to take the money and use it for their own studio and all of that. That was.
I mean, we're partners. You know, I gotta. You know, when I'm up in the morning brushing my teeth, you know, I'm responsible for all them. So, you know, who am I to say no? I'll say no if it doesn't make sense. But if it really makes sense, we got to rock. I mean, this is their life.
Right.
How'd you find Mobb Deep?
Wu-Tang just came out, and then it was one of our street team guys, and this girl, her name was Tammy, I forget her last name, and they just came, and I remember, something happened. I think somebody was smoking a cigarette or blunt in the bathroom. The alarm went off. I was like, I gotta have it.
What? That's all it took back in the day?
Nah, I mean, they and then they had a record called Patty Shop, and there was no shook ones. There was nothing.
You had him from Hit Him From the Back? You had him?
No, that was Def Jam.
Oh, Def Jam.
Okay.
Did they freestyle for you? They had a demo? Just had that one record?
They had this one record. I mean...
And smoking a blunt in the bathroom.
Yeah, I mean, I do everything on instinct. With Pun, I'm sure, Joe could tell you this. My A&R guy, I had a royalty check from one time, and, it took him 3 weeks to pick it up.
Why?
And because, he was all about the music. He wasn't about the money. So the day that I was meeting Pun, he showed up at 10:30 in the morning. I'm like, what are you doing here? He goes, aren't you meeting Pun? I signed Pun without hearing him. This kid showed up on time for a meeting.
Wow.
So I would tell people
a minority that shows up on time for a meeting, I want him on my time.
Now, would you say that Wu-Tang was probably the most difficult group to work with because there were so many different personalities? And
No, they were the easiest.
You think?
I know.
All 9 of them?
All 9 of them.
Really?
It was easy.
What made you sign them?
Yeah, why didn't you sign each? Like, you could have signed each individual artist. Why didn't you sign Meth, all of them?
Not because the deal was we had right of first refusal.
Right.
So don't forget, Loud just started. I had Twisted, which did okay, and I had the Alcoholics. And I was just trying to survive. I haven't had that big record yet. Protect Your Neck, wasn't really doing anything yet. It was, a great buzz. And this is what RZA said. And again, my thing, their first budget wasn't a lot of money. So I was like, this is all I have. But, you could take everything else. Just, if we blow up, give me the first right of refusal. And he said, all right, done.
People always said that was an unheard of deal, to sign a group and then allow them to go out and get deals individually at other labels.
It was, I managed New Edition for a while. So I always believed the group is bigger than the solo artist.
That was the R&B Wu-Tang, by
By
the way.
Yep.
So, but, so if Meth was at Def Jam and Jizza was at Geffen and Dirty was at Elektra, it only made the Wu-Tang brand bigger. And then we had the marketing company, and, we were marketing all the records. So it was a win-win for everybody.
Oh, so you making money regardless.
Did you have publishing on him at all when they went to those other labels?
No, RZA had his deal. RZA did, through BMG.
So it's sort of like leaking your videos to YouTube, kind of.
Exactly.
Wow.
Smart.
That makes total sense. How much was the royalty check for Point?
Say that again?
How much was the royalty check for Point that he didn't pick up for 3 weeks?
It was 6 figures.
What the hell was Point doing that he didn't have to come pick up that money?
Point said it was about the craft.
Okay, and then after that, you started SRC.
Yep.
And that was another label situation that you had. So what happened with Loud?
So when we sold to Sony in 1999, I had a 3-year contract that I had to run it. So we went from a staff of 30 people to 200 people, and I was never so miserable in my life.
Yeah, you guys had a lot of people in that office.
Yeah. And, I realized corporate America wasn't really for me. Budget meetings, this meeting, that meeting, I was, for 3 years, I was miserable. So in 2002, when the deal was done, I resigned. And I was like, I said, all right, I'm going to leave the music business again. I'm a big basketball junkie. So I was like, I was going to try and do some stuff with basketball. And then Universal came calling, and they said, you want a label? So I was like, all right, so...
Why does everything in your life happen so easy?
It's so easy.
Right.
You want a label?
Yeah, I need to start a label.
You just find legendary talent without even having demos.
Nah, it's work, man. It's work. I was working last night, till 11:30. So it's I was fortunate enough again, but it was a no money deal for me. They said, you want a label, and it was like proving myself all over again. So
they didn't give you no upfront money?
No.
Oh.
So I like I guess I like a challenge.
How'd you find Akon?
Yeah, was it true that he was bootlegging your music?
Akon?
Yeah.
Why? Because he's African, he's bootlegging your ass. This guy here. How did you find Akon?
Akon's a great story. As I said earlier, I was a basketball junkie. I just broke my nose. I was on my way to the hospital. I was supposed to leave to go to New York that night. And my office was on the way to the hospital. This was in L.A. And Kenny Burns was on, I don't know, like on a corner of Doheny and Sunset. Just jumps in my car. I had blood all over me. He's like, what the hell's the matter with you? I'm like, I'm going to the hospital. He thinks I got shot because I had blood all over my shirt.
You knew Kenny, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Random black guy just jump in your car?
So he goes, you got to hear this. You got to hear this. And he puts it in, and it's Akon. It was a record called Trouble. I was like, wow, where's this kid from? He goes, Atlanta. I said, if I could fly tonight, I'm going to cancel my trip to New York. I'm just going to go straight to Atlanta. Doctor gives me clearance to fly, and we fly into Atlanta, and we sign him the next day.
Wow.
Just that easy.
No, that was hard because again we had no money.
Wow.
Oh, Akon wasn't having it. Akon.
But it happened the next day still.
Akon was having it. It was the production company, Divine Stevens, who was like, man, you got to give us more money. I was like, I'm giving you as much as I possibly could give.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He's still signing you now, though, right? SRC?
No, I left SRC.
Oh, got you.
So he's still signed to Universal though.
Okay, so that brings us now to All Def Digital and All Def Music?
Yes.
Okay.
So All Def Digital was, again, Russell started with Brian Robbins, and All Def Music is the spinoff of All Def Digital. So, my philosophy was that if you take YouTube, you have probably the best A&R source in the world, and you have the best marketing source. And, we started it's called an MTN, a multi-channel network, where we could take all these different channels, put it into one. And to me, that's my new street team.
Mm-hmm.
Where if we have a record, we put it, the music on each one of everybody's channels, and look, we just started the MCN 6 weeks ago. We're already north of 1 billion views and over 3 million subscribers.
Wow.
Damn.
So, and then my thing was always at SRC. I always wanted to put out a single a week, and the company Universal wasn't ready to handle such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is what we have to do. I'm older now. I'm not hanging out in the clubs. I'm not doing this. I said, we'll find the next Dre, the next Rel. I'm talking about producer-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll, and out of the 52 artists, we'll grab 2 or 3 that will turn into real artists. So that's
the campaign is AD52.
ADD52.
ADD52.
We're partners with Samsung.
Mm-hmm.
Samsung started a streaming service called Milk Music, and it's a big part. So we'll put the records, in their streaming service. We'll make some videos. We'll go through our MCN.
So how do these artists get paid? Because you
how
put
do
out
they
a new
sign?
single every week for
Yep.
the year, and a new single and video. How do these artists get chosen? You find them, or do they submit to you?
They submit to our, they go to add52.com. They submit, and then me, Russell, and then DJ Ski.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have a show called ADD52 that Ski is hosting that will launch the single of the week. And we'll just sit, and then we'll see, we'll look at it. It's like, it's part gut instinct, and the other part is all about, looking the shares, the likes, and checking out the comments.
Now, the first 2 artists I see up here, I guess it's been up here for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was thinking who A&Rs it, because these artists are not crappy artists. These artists, this sounds good. It's well
Records
produced.
sound great,
The videos
yeah.
sound great. The videos look good. They sound dope.
Well, Dollhouse was signed to me at SRC.
Mm-hmm.
So they came about, and then Taib Ali has 900,000 views. He's a kid out of Philly, 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That's out of Philly. That we had to jumpstart the program. So those are the first 2 artists on All Def Music.
Now let me ask you this: so what happens if one of these artists get chosen by you? You put out the single and the video. Can they sign to another label if another label sees them? They can't.
No, not for 6 months.
Not for 6 months. Okay. All right, because that kind of helps out the labels. They're like, let's see
Yeah, I was
what's
thinking the
popping
same
on.
thing.
No.
Yeah, you're doing their job for them.
Yeah. So
Basically.
So these artists are signed for you for the first 6 months, and
Yeah.
then you can decide if you want to keep them or.
we could decide, like, we could give them another single deal. We could give them an EP deal. I don't really believe in album deals anymore. I'd rather just keep on going to EPs and then bundle the EPs together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, really what we'll do. But there is an album deal at the end too. But, like yesterday, the site is 2 weeks old. We already have over 5,000 submissions. I mean, I was, till 11:30 last night. Me and Jason in the corner right there.
Mm-hmm.
We're going through music.
Just listening to music?
Yeah.
You still enjoy it?
That's the, to me, without getting, music is the closest thing to God. And that's the only thing, I got really sick over the holidays, and I just lost my father. So the music is just, that's my peace. That's my meditation.
Well, our condolences to you.
Absolutely.
What was wrong, if you don't mind us asking?
With me?
Yeah.
I had a heart attack.
Yikes.
Oh, wow.
You're too young for that, man.
What was it due to?
And in shape.
Now I'm in shape. Everybody said you're not heavy. I was 50 pounds overweight, and they had to get not open heart surgery. They had to put a stent in. One of my arteries was 100% clogged.
And it was all due to your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And this is why I tell people you got to get in shape. This is why I be so hard on fat people. If it's not a medical condition, the choice is yours to get in shape.
So I lost 50. I walk and run 3 miles a day, and I'm eating as clean as could be.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
Yeah,
And what do you
like
think
this-
of your former artist, the RZA, his idea to put out one album and sell it to the highest bidder?
You know what? I would never bet against RZA. You know, if that's what he wants to do, I think it's brilliant. And, you know, there'll be somebody, you know, from Europe or in Asia that will buy this album for $1 million.
Do you still make money off the catalog, the Wu catalog?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Are you still involved in any of these guys' careers? Like, do they reach out to you for advice sometimes?
You know, it's funny. Me and Meth have the same birthday, so we always talk. You know, on that day, I see. You know, whenever we see him, you know, we sit down and talk. And you know, I'll speak to Ray. I'll speak to Ghost. They'll call me. You know, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? It's really family. You know, and it's just everybody is gone. You know, you get out of the house and everybody just goes their own different way.
Besides this, do you manage any other artists?
No, I mean, managing Spoken Reasons is hard enough.
How's he doing?
Here.
He's great. I mean, he's great. This kid has a vision from A to Z, you know, and it's like to keep up with him is a full-time job.
All right.
Well, you've had a very charmed, blessed life so far.
I definitely have.
And then, because Sanaa Lathan, you dated Sanaa Lathan as well.
Damn, you knew that was coming.
That's
Your
a
life
huge
is
deal.
amazing, sir. No, for
I'm
real.
saying that's amazing.
Your life is amazing. That was amazing. That's amazing.
What?
To date Sanaa Lathan? Well, to have sex with Sanaa Lathan. Same difference.
My goodness. He's like, oh boy, he's back to Act 52.
Like, no comment.
Now, I wanted to ask you, what do you think is this wrong with New York hip hop? Since you were so responsible for, like, you know, putting so many New York hip hop artists to the forefront, what do you think is wrong with New York hip hop now?
I blame the executive. And it's really not even their fault. It goes back to when the late 90s. You know, last night, you know, there are no new labels that really have coming out of New York that really mean anything. You know, there's no Rockefeller, there's no Bad Boy, there's no Def Jam, there's no Loud. You know, and it was like we were all a unit, all just trying to help blow each other up. You know, when Leo and Russell had success, I had success. You know, when Puff had success, I had success. Me and Puff were at BMG. Leo and Russell were at they went to Sony to Polygram. You know, and it was like when Puff had success, that means I knew I was going to have success. It's just, so it was like we all helped each other, you know, in a crazy way. And I wish when the CD came, and you know, it was like you could sell the same amount of records, but all of a sudden we had an extra $6. So everybody just got lazy. Everybody, you know, it's like if you listen to the creativity got gone. Everybody would want this beat, that beat, you know, and it would be the same beat. Nobody was developing writers anymore. Nobody was developing producers anymore. And it was just all right. If this is the new form of music, this is what we have to go after. And you know, I was always the one, even as a little kid, would just think left. You know, and I was fortunate enough and got lucky enough where Wu-Tang came in my life, Mobb Deep came in my life, the Licks, Twista, you know, 3-6 Mafia, Mobb Deep, and that's really what I did. I wish, you know, they would go out more and not worry what their bosses are saying and really just find that next thing. And that's why I'm doing this.
Is there anybody that you had an opportunity to sign that you kick yourself that you didn't?
Yeah.
Who?
Jay.
Really?
Yeah. BMG, you know, we had so much power up there. They didn't.
This before he went to Def Jam or before Priority?
Before Priority.
Before Reasonable Doubt?
It was Reasonable Doubt.
Wow.
You know, I kicked and screamed, but they said, no, you have too much, you have too much. You know, I go back with Dane when he was 15 years old. So,
how did you guys know each other?
Through his cousin. They were managing some artist on Atlantic that we were working, and, you know, this 15-year-old or 16-year-old kid would be calling, screaming at me, and I would just, you know, I said, you know, come to the house and let's have dinner.
He was always like that, huh?
Yeah. So that's one that, you know, I really regret.
Through the cracks,
you know, but then Irv says a great story. He had Mike Geronimo, and we were trying to pick up the 12-inch, and we couldn't get the sample cleared.
But It's Real?
Whatever the first thing, I don't
It's Real.
Yeah, it was
right?
It's
So
Real.
we couldn't get the sample cleared, so we couldn't do the deal. And then Leo just picked him up as an executive, and he says, "Man, if we picked up that record, you know, you would have had Rough Riders, this, that." I was like, you know, so
you would have had everybody.
So
Murder Inc., Rough Riders, Rockefeller,
DMX, all that, yeah.
Yeah, so that was probably, you know, Herb was not. We just couldn't get it done.
Right.
But the J, you know, they kicked me out of the building a few times. That's how bad I wanted.
Wow.
Do you think that 90s New York sound could work now?
Yeah, I do. I feel that, you know, if you come, first you got to make a great record, you know, at the end of the day. I think, yeah, it all comes back. So to me, it's really about just making, you know, just make the best music you can and think out of the box. That's,
Right.
you know, and I think the reason why Wu worked, nothing sounded like Wu.
Nothing at all.
You know, and it worked.
What do you listen to now? Do you listen to any artists now? Besides the one that you putting on ad 52.
ADD.
You know, I'm not really listening to much right this second.
Mhm.
You know, I'm just focused on really what we have. You know, when I want to listen to something, you know, I don't even know what I'm listening to.
Do you meditate? Since you work with Russell and he very heavily promotes that,
You know,
makes you want to meditate.
Since I got sick, you know, I died 3 times. So I thank God, you know, every time for, you know, just bring me back. So when I wake up in the morning, I do it. It's like a 30-minute prayer.
Now, when you had your heart attack, were you by yourself? Were you rushed to
Nah,
hospital? What was the situation?
It was Christmas Eve.
Wow.
My oldest son's a basketball player.
Mhm.
So we were playing 1-on-1, and he dunked on me.
Goodness gracious.
And
So he thought it was his fault.
nah, I went to hit him. You know, it's like, it's disrespectful. How do you do that to your father? So I thought, I never had chest pain. I thought I pulled a muscle in my back.
Mhm.
And then around 10 minutes later, I was having a hard time breathing, and I was sweating more than usual.
Right.
And I said, something's not right. And I was at my ex-wife's house.
Mhm.
And I said, call 911. She goes, nah, take a shower and just go to sleep.
Take a shower and go to sleep. Goodness gracious.
I called 911, take a shower. And then I started having a pain in my arm. I was like, all right, this is really not good. And the ambulance came and said, we don't know. It wasn't a heart attack yet, but it was right before the heart attack. He goes, we got to take you in. Now, I haven't been to a doctor in 25 years. And this could have all been prevented.
And you're white. Now, what is wrong? You've been around hip hop too long.
Nah, I was, you know.
What is Doc
I was petrified to go to a doctor.
Mhm.
So they said, you're having a heart attack and we have to go in. I'm like, what, you know.
Going what? You know?
That's what I was saying. Then the doctor came and he says, we don't have to, no open heart, we're going through the groin. And I had no idea what a stent
Through
was.
the groin.
Yeah. And whatever you have to do to just keep me alive.
Wow.
You have the most amazing instincts in the world. You know that. You called 911 before you had a heart attack. You signed Big Pun without a demo.
Mobb Deep.
Can you tell us who's going to win this NBA Finals so I can place a bet, please?
I want Miami.
Oh, okay.
I see Miami.
I don't think the Spurs are going to win, but.
You know what, after the way, you know what, how they looked yesterday? They looked tough.
Wow.
You're not going to go with Steve Rifkin's instinct after you just asked him?
I am.
I don't like the Heat, though. That's the only reason. Yeah.
Now, your son plays basketball. He plays college, professionally?
He's graduated. He's going to play college next year at Long Beach State.
Okay.
Nice.
So.
Did you ever pray, like, when after you had sex with Sanaa Lathan, like, you just say, thank you, God, for this amazing.
No, but she did.
Y'all not together no more, right?
Nah, she's like my. I mean,
She cannot be like your sister.
Not
Don't
like
say
my
that.
sister. Nah, I mean, you know,
Me and my brother never.
we're close, but you know, we're not dating.
How did it smell?
Stop it. It's disrespectful.
I've never met
Stop
somebody
it.
who had sex with
Come
Sanaa
on,
Lathan.
man.
This guy is great to me. You just went up on my list, of legends, by the way.
You know, he went up.
Yes. He was up there, but he's really up there now.
Goodness gracious.
What did I tell you? The other people on the list. No, I'm kidding.
Well, we appreciate you joining us, man.
Nah, man, thanks. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's Steve Rifkind. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.